You've spelunked into the Mat Cave. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Mat Cave. Thank you all so much for spelunking on by this week. This week, as the episode states, the title there, it's my review of Destiny 2 Lightfall. It is also an update on the Jazz and how their season is going. But before we dive too deeply into that, please do like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Leave a comment or leave a review wherever you're listening. They help more than you could possibly imagine. There's a reason all of your favorite podcasters and YouTubers say that stuff. It's because it really does help. Those algorithms are not manned by humans, so they only go off of the stuff that the humans set up in the outline. And that outline is for you guys to do some good stuff for me. So I would greatly appreciate that. As you all know, this is my dream, and I want to do this daily. So, yeah, let's keep it rolling, shall we? All right, so let's first start our conversation here, our one-sided conversation, with Destiny 2 Lightfall. So, I'm actually going to start this one with IGN's review. And IGN's review right now is... So they do their... I do my reviews differently, my ratings. But this one... IGN is 1 through 10, and they're not finished yet. I believe they're waiting until the first raid hits this coming Tuesday before they give out their final review on it, but their review in progress right now is not glowing. It's 5 out of 10. And I can see where the reviewer is coming from when they're talking about their experience in it. Its storytelling is not its best. The reviewer for IGN here is Travis Northup. And yeah, the storytelling was pretty poor, in my opinion. They kind of swiftly got rid of one of the main bads throughout all of Destiny 2. And one of his big gripes is that the new area called Neomuna, which is on Neptune, which is a planet we actually haven't been to in Destiny, is, well, barren and lifeless is what he said. And I agree. There's nothing there. Why? So essentially in the story, and yes, this is going to be spoiler full. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, fast forward here. But the story goes that we fight against the big baddie who has kind of been behind the scenes, called the Witness, and they're kind of pulling the strings of the Dark, which is what we've been fighting against for all of Destiny in all of its different forms, whether it's the Hive or the Vex or the Cabal or any of the enemies there, the Forsaken. So they finally reveal themselves towards the end of the Witch Queen, is when we start to see the Witness. And the Witness comes to fruition here. He or she, I guess the Witness powers up the big bad from the original Destiny 2, which is Emperor Callus. And Emperor Callus is now, the first, I don't know what to call him. They call him a specific name during the campaign, and it just doesn't stick. It's like he's the first follower or something like that. And he gets powered up. Okay, cool. So we have to we fight them off as they try to capture the Traveler. And we try to fight them off. We get onto a ship. And in the very beginning, after you before you even start anything, the first cutscene with your Guardian in it feels very Halo 3-ish. Feels very like Halo 3, Halo 4. I know they didn't have anything to do with Halo 4, really, but you're hanging on to the outside of a spaceship, and the only thing I could think of is Cortana warning Master Chief, saying, you need a bigger weapon, and then Master Chief saying, I am the weapon. That's what I felt like when it came to this, because Ghost was saying, be careful, to the Guardian as he's trying to climb into the ship, which also so happened to be very handy that there was a ladder right where he was falling. But, suspension of disbelief here. And it's just this expansion has been overwhelmingly disappointing for me. And that feels bad because this is the final really expansion of this life cycle of Destiny 2. Moving forward, we're going to have a whole different view and picture of what Destiny 2 is. And this version introduced a whole new subclass, and it's still just not... Like, it's cool in parts, and they try to recreate what the subclass means with movement and just how it works with creating debuffs, and then you can trigger some stuff to do even cooler things. But Strand just feels off. So, and now we have, and this guy's actually done a very good review. I encourage you to read it if you have a chance. It's Travis Northup on IGN.com. And he says that there's this big MacGuffin called the Veil, which is this thing that the Witness, Emperor Callus, and us, the Vanguard, Destiny 2, the light defenders, we're all trying to get to on Neomuna, Neptune. It's this mysterious artifact that is super important. One of the characters that you're introduced to dies defending this. So it's supposedly this uber important, super strong artifact, right? We're never told why. Throughout the entirety of the campaign, which was about, I want to say 10-ish hours, and I did it on Legendary, humble brag, but throughout the entire thing, you're never told why it's so important. You just know that it's important because everybody tells you that it's important and that everybody is going after it. But we're never told what it does. And I'm not going to spoil it too far, but it's never explained to us. Maybe it will be somehow throughout the next couple of seasons in this expansion, but it's not even really an expansion. Honestly, this feels more like a DLC from Destiny 1 than it does feel like an actual expansion. Because it's very light on stuff to do. You still have your grindy dailies and weeklies. You still have those things to get, ticking off check marks in a box. And dare I say it, this might be the third worst DLC in the history of Destiny. Like, the ones I hated the most were Shadowkeep, which was on the moon. I did not like that one at all. Curse of Osiris, which was not a DLC. And Warmind, which was not really that was a DLC, it wasn't an expansion. Like, Curse of Osiris and Warmind were DLCs. And Shadowkeep was an expansion. There was a lot there. It reintroduced a old Destiny 1 favorite. And I don't know. It was really disappointing because Witch Queen did a much better job in storytelling, moving the plot forward, removing different characters and reconfiguring how those characters work together. And in this one, it just felt like they were pushing towards an ending that they just wanted to get out of the way. They just wanted to get some big baddies out of the way so that they can start telling a different story. And I understand that from a writer's point of view. I get that. You don't really care about this story anymore. You want this story to end. You didn't get rid of the big bad in the original Destiny 2 in a satisfying sort of way. And so now you have to come up with some way for the Guardian to fight against him for real. And yeah, something's missing from this. And I think it's because the main character in it, Osiris, has never been anybody's favorite character, ever. I don't know any of my friends or clanmates that like Osiris. I don't know a single person who does. We did not weep for him during the Witch Queen and what happened. We didn't cheer when he came back. And so we're just kind of stuck with this guy as the main protagonist, helper, I guess, in this story. And a couple of times I shouted expletives at him for a couple of the missions. And so I'm going to talk about the exotics here, and the two exotics that I did get, the exotics are you're only allowed to equip one of these weapons at a time. You can't have multiple exotics equipped at the same time because they're stronger weapons, and you have to do something extra and more difficult to acquire them or spend money, in my in my case, I spent money to get Quicksilver, which is an auto rifle, back when they first announced Lightfall. I actually had pretty high hopes for Lightfall when they were doing their sort of state of play thing that they've done. It looked promising. It looked really cool. A whole new city, awesome. A whole new area, great. They did away with a lot of the grindy stuff. They got rid of some of the materials you had to get a bunch of to do stuff with. I loved that. But then Lightfall has come. And I gotta say, don't get it. Don't play it. It's not worth it. I love Destiny so much that I'm not going to stop playing it, but I'm not going to be grinding on it like I have in past expansions. Like, so back to the exotics I was talking about. They're underwhelming. Very underwhelming. First, the Quicksilver Storm, the auto rifle I was talking about that you got for pre-ordering the game way forever back ago. It does not do damage like it should. It feels like something's missing from it, and they need to tweak it, and they need to tweak it fast. Otherwise, it's just a useless thing you're going to put in your vault, and that's that. And then the other one, I'm not going to name it because it kind of is a spoiler, but it's a heavy weapon that you get after completing the Lightfall campaign. It's just another heavy machine gun. It doesn't do anything new. It doesn't do anything cool. It doesn't rev up like Thunderlord does. It doesn't spawn out stuff like some other weapons do. Like, it's just a heavy machine gun, which every fourth shot does something extra. That's not exotic worthy. That weapon is not worthy of taking up your exotic spot. Like, exotics should be taken up by guns like Gjallarhorn, right? Or Sleeper Simulant. You know, stuff like that. Something that makes a huge difference, does a gobs of damage, and you feel good using it, and it looks cool. That's Quicksilver Storm, the auto rifle. Not really, doesn't really look all that cool. And the other weapon, which I'm not going to name because it's kind of a spoiler, doesn't look that great either. It's actually kind of clunky and unwieldy when you're looking at it, when you're sprinting. This expansion has fallen far short of expectations, especially with the future of Destiny 2 being so important. But, oh boy. For IGN, their score is riding on the raid that's coming out on the 10th. For me, my score is already in, and it's avoid it. Unless you're a super Destiny fan like I am, like I have been since the very first original Destiny, don't. Just save yourself from it. So my review is avoid it. Don't even get it if you're a fan. Only get it if you're a super fan, because it's just disappointing. The strand abilities are really cool in that subclass. The movement you can do is cool, but in order to do that movement, there's a cooldown on that ability that is just too long. It's too long. So if you're using it to, like they originally announced, as sort of a gap closer or a way to move around, give you mobility, you gotta be able to let us do it more often than what you're letting us do it for. Because it's on the same cooldown as a grenade with next to no, like there's no combat viability for it. You're just moving around. You're getting yourself out of a sticky situation, sure, but you're not doing damage with it. So there's a lot to be desired in this expansion. They have a few seasons to fix it, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go get it. I'm not. Only get it if you're a super fan and you love Destiny, you have a clan to play with, and stuff like that. If you're just a casual player like a couple of my friends are, I'm going to tell them to avoid it and just keep playing like something else, like Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft, something that they're already playing. Don't invest your time and money into this yet. So, all of that 14 and a half minutes to say, avoid this expansion, unless a couple of caveats here. First, it's free. If it ever goes free, yeah, sure, get it. It'll be a good time because you didn't pay anything for it. And second is, if you are a hardcore player of the game, or if you're a big fan of the game, like big fan of the game. Like, for me, I have every collector's edition of this game that has come out, I've gotten. So you would call me a big fan of the game. I got it, and I'm very disappointed in what Bungie's done. So hopefully they learned from this. I doubt they will, but we'll see. They seem to have gotten better at listening to community feedback, not the complaining, because gamers always complain, right? I'm not sitting here complaining. I'm telling them where they fell short. Storytelling was bleh. The character they decided to choose to lead the charge here, nobody's favorite. And the big, as my friend, as the guy I keep talking about over at IGN, Travis said, a MacGuffin, which was useless. Like, we never knew why, and it was so important throughout all of the campaign up until you need to use it, and then nothing happens. You don't get an explanation. It's just super important. You got to defend it. You got to get there first. Why? Too many shortcuts were taken in storytelling in this. So, all right, so that's my review for Destiny 2. It's avoid it unless you're an uber fan like myself or a hardcore player. So IGN got this one right, in my opinion. If they give it a 5 or a 6 or even a 4, absolutely 100% agree with it. All right, let's move on. We're moving on to the Utah Jazz. And since the All-Star break, we're looking at 2-2. And those games have come against 2 teams. Those 2 teams, Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. So, the 2 losses, they've lost once to both teams, and they've won once against both teams. Both of the wins were at home. One of the losses was at home, and one of the losses was on the road. They have another game against the Thunder tonight, actually, as I'm recording this. I think the Jazz are on the correct course moving forward. With Mike Conley gone and Jared Vanderbilt gone, Malik Beasley, that was a lot of minutes in the first part of the season gone that need to be filled by people who are unproven and did not get those minutes in the first part of the season. There's also a couple of veterans that were signed on 10-day deals. Chris Dunn just got his second 10-day deal. Congratulations. I say just sign him for the rest of the run. And Frank Jackson, who used to be a high school star here in Utah, which is pretty cool. And Simone Fontecchio got called out by Will Hardy. Interesting. The Jazz were called out by Will Hardy as well for being arrogant. Okay. I'm liking it. I'm really liking it, because that means things are starting to fall apart here. And that's what we want, Jazz fans. We don't want to go into the play-in. We don't want the playoff. We want better lottery odds. Whether that's Victor Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson, I don't care. I want either of them. I mean, if you could get both of them, that'd be fantastic, but no team is going to trade you for that. This isn't NBA 2K on easy mode. So, with Lauri Markkanen starting to show some wear and tear, he's got some back problems right now, and with Mike Conley gone, our assists leader for the season is... it's Jordan Clarkson. If Jordan Clarkson ends the season as the assist leader for the Jazz, that is one thing that nobody anywhere ever would have guessed. And that's only at 4 assists per game, by the way. So there's not a lot of ball movement going on. Lauri Markkanen is still having that breakout season. He's still the best player the Jazz have right now. As the season wears on and the losing starts to pile up, I would imagine guys like Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, they would want to bounce, jump ship. Jordan Clarkson will probably get a big payday. Kelly Olynyk will get an increased one. He's been very important this year, and he's allowed Walker Kessler to kind of grow into what he's becoming. And I just want to see the young guys get a ton of minutes. That's what I want to see the rest of the season, right? I want to see Walker Kessler on the floor a lot, Colin Sexton, Ochai Agbaji, Simone Fontecchio. All of these guys I want to see on the floor like 40-plus minutes a game if it's viable, because I want them to take their lumps when they're not expected to win. I don't want to have players come in like it towards the end of the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert era, where they weren't ready to fill any sort of role whatsoever. I'm looking at you, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'm looking at you, sir. Jared Butler, who was signed by the Oklahoma City Thunder, by the way. It'll be interesting to see if they can get anything out of him, because, the vaunted Jazz development system under Quinn Snyder couldn't get anything from him. So we'll see what the Thunder can get out of him, which is probably not going to be too terribly much. Moving forward, though, like I said, lots of minutes for the young guys. That's what I want to see. I want to see Will Hardy just throw out some crazy lineups. I want him to just feel like he's free to experiment however he wants. I don't want to see injuries, though. I don't want to see that, because that will mean minutes will go away from the young guys, and it'll just be veterans just trying to, make the league on those 10-day contracts. I mean, I would like to see them sign G League guys, right? Bring those guys up into the league, see if they have something to prove, because they all feel like they should be in the NBA, so may as well join a team like the Jazz, right? So, I'm saying so a lot. I'm so sorry. And yes, the rest of the season, this is Matt's wish list. Lots and lots of losses. Yes, I wouldn't mind not a single win for the rest of the season. I would love that. So lots and lots of losses and tons of minutes for the young guys to see if they can handle it. See if they can man up and take on an NBA, stretch run. Walker Kessler, Ochai Agbaji, Colin Sexton. I'm looking at you guys. Simone Fontecchio, too. We'll see if he gets minutes anymore after that little dust-up with Will Hardy. And we'll see how Will Hardy handles losing. If he starts to get frustrated, starts blaming other people, that's not what you want to see in your head coach. You want to see what Quinn Snyder always used to say, which was, it starts with me. I need to do something. I loved hearing that. I love hearing coaches say that. Unless it's something glaringly obvious that you're just ignoring because your defensive coordinator is your best friend. I'll leave that open to interpretation on who I'm talking about there. But I really want the Jazz to slip into the lottery. I don't want them in the play-in, because the play-in is for teams that are on either on two totally separate sides of the spectrum. So you have if we're looking at this like a graph, and it's flat as, tanking teams that are just bad, and then it starts to go up, and those are the teams that think they're starting to get it together. Those are the teams that want to get into the play-in. And then obviously you have the up into the peak where it's title contenders, people expecting to win a title. Then you start to go down, you have teams like the Phoenix Suns or the Jazz of the last couple of years where they've plateaued and they can't win a title, but they think they can. And then you get down to the bottom on the other side where it's just an old team trying to hang on for past glory. I don't want the Jazz anywhere except for at the beginning of that graph, because you have the Lakers at the end of it. You have the Nuggets, Bucks, 76ers up at the top. And then on either side, so on the declining side, you have the Suns, and on the upswing, you have the Cavaliers. So the Jazz need to be at the beginning of that graph. All right, everybody, that is the episode this week. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you're enjoying this shorter format. I know I am. It helps save my voice a little bit. If you have any improvements for me or any suggestions for me on how to improve this, please let me know. Shoot me an email. That is themattcavepod@gmail.com. And I would love to hear your feedback, or just leave a rating and a review. Please keep the rating high if you have some tweaks for me, but I will definitely read the review, and if it's something I feel like I can do, I will for sure throw it in. But thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you all next week when we spelunk back into the Matt Cave. Also, the University of Utah women just laid an egg in the Pac-12 tournament. They lost their chance at a number 1 seed. That's too bad.